Hello and welcome back to Trash to Track. Now in this episode I'm going to be looking at this Hornby Class 37 that belongs to my uncle, and he picked it up at the recent Doncaster Toy Fair as a running loco. And it's a real shame that I don't know who the vendor was, because it's not a running loco. It looks really nice. The paintwork on this model is really good, done up as 37885. It is a basic model. There's a couple of details missing, but it looks good in that metal sector livery. So I'm going to put it on the track. Now my uncle said that this runs intermittently. I'm putting a battery on the track. It is trying to move, but it's very intermittent. As you can see, it's quite stuttery, and it is annoying that this was sold as a running engine. Again, it shows you the perils of Toy Fair purchases if you don't see them running. So I'm going to have a look at this. This is a Ringfield job, and it's just going to be a basic Ringfield service, I think. So I put it upside down in the loco cradle. Now the wheels to me look really dirty, and it was sold this as a recently serviced engine. It's not. Look at the state of that cotton bud, and I've only done a third of the wheel. So this cotton bud's got contact cleaner on it, and I just go along and rotate it with my finger, and that's not even applying a lot of pressure or using the fiberglass pencil. But you can see on that cotton bud just how dirty this model actually is. So there's no way this has been recently serviced. I don't believe that for a start. So to remove the motor, you unclip the bogie and then remove this wire off the brush terminal, and that allows you to remove the motor bogie in its entirety. So we'll set the model aside and we'll work on this. There's absolutely no lubrication there on where the motor spindle goes through the motor casing, and it is filthy. So yeah, another lying vendor, and I'm just sad that I don't know who it was, because I would have called you out. So just be careful if you're going to sell dodgy trains, because if I find out about it, I will tell the general public and the viewers who is selling these models. Now, to remove the gears, you remove this clip, and it is this model is filthy. You can just see the sheen of the old lubrication. It's got one of those stupid alloy pinion gears, but this one is on there tight, so I'm going to leave that well alone. I'm not going to replace it because it's not broken. Now I'm going to remove this other wire. Now I did try and take this end of the wire off, but that was stuck fast. So I end up removing the other wire off the brush terminal, and then undoing the clips at the rear of the motor faceplate. This will allow the faceplate to be removed. So I've undone the clips, and some gentle persuasion to undo the rear clips or the bottom clips, and that comes off. Now the commutator doesn't look too dirty, but the gaps between the commutator faceplates are absolutely full. They are full of carbon, and that will lead to poor running in itself. The gaps between the commutator parts must be clean. The faceplate's got some dirty old lubrication on the inside, and that brush spring is stuck inside the casing. There we go, I'll take that out. So I don't believe this has not been recently serviced. No way has this been serviced in the last 2 or 3 years, and it's had a lot of running as well. So I'm going to clean the commutator faceplate up. First, I just use a dry cotton bud to remove a lot of the dirt, and there you go. Look, I don't know if you can see that on the camera there. A mass of hair wrapped around the motor spindle. So I'm going to polish the commutator up with Brasso, which is what I usually do on a cotton bud. This will polish the commutator brass plates up really nicely. And then using a wooden cocktail stick, I'm going to clean the gaps out between the commutator plates, because like I said, the build-up of dirt and bridging of those plates will lead to poor running. And it can lead to short circuits if you're not careful. So I'm going to thoroughly clean this, which is what the vendor should have done, let's be honest. So I clean this all up, and then I leave it for a couple of minutes to dry, and then I will clean the commutator faceplate. I'll just give it a wipe over with contact cleaner to remove any Brasso residue which could be left. I'm also going to clean all the gears up. This again, cotton bud with contact cleaner on it, to remove all the old grease. None of the gears on this had any burrs on, so there was no need to sand them down or anything. They seemed to be in good order. They were just really dirty. It was old lubrication and dirt that had congealed So I'll give these a thorough clean up. Like I said, it was in good condition, the model. It's just not been serviced. It wasn't running properly. The brass retainer for the gears was also clean. This was filthy. Absolutely filthy, and it had an oily sheen on it. So everything was serviced properly. And Ringfield services, obviously I've covered these a lot in the past, but you could be a first time viewer, so I'm going to cover it all anyway. The motor faceplate was cleaned as well, and then that's clipped back into place. Work gently with these. You don't want to snap any of the clips off, otherwise the faceplate won't sit properly. So I just, with a bit of gentle pressure, it will clip back on. This one was particularly stubborn though. I don't believe this motor has been apart before. Usually when they've been apart, the faceplate can be quite loose, but this was extremely tight. Just make sure the armature spins. Now the brushes themselves, they're not too bad. Again, cotton bud with contact cleaner on it, just to wipe the build-up of carbon off the brush faces. So this was all done. The springs themselves are really clean. They're placed in there. There is a small nodule on top of the Hornby brushes, which faces upwards, and that allows the spring to seat correctly. And then the retaining plate was just gently folded back down, and the other brush was done the same. The wire was reconnected, and then using a battery across the brush terminals, and the motor's spinning lovely. So that's nice and clean and fully serviced. So now I'm going to rebuild the drivetrain, and before I put anything back on, I'm going to put some Labelle 106 grease on the gear spindles so that everything's correctly lubricated. Smaller gears go at the bottom, and the larger gear with the moulded tiny gear sit on the top with the tiny gear facing downwards, as you can see. And then once the gears are in place, that metal retaining clip is put back on, and this just clips in the top of the die-cast motor mount or motor block, and then over those two spindles, and holds everything in place. And then I'll put a small amount of grease on the pinion gear that will spread through the drivetrain. And then you must lubricate this part here where the motor shaft comes through the motor faceplate, because when you have a ring-filled motor that screams, it is coming from there when the motor shaft is spinning in that plastic with no lubrication. So another battery test, and you can see there that everything's fixed together and working nicely. So that is now, this motor is properly fully serviced and fully working. It's running absolutely lovely, no problems there at all. So one thing to remember before putting it back in the bogie frame, just give the bogie frame a wipe over. This did have some dirt in it. And the one thing to remember is to put these floating wheels on the centre axle. And then the motor will clip back in. It will only go in one way. One of the clips is a lot wider than the other, so that helps you orientate it correctly. And once it's correct, it just clips back into the bogie frame. And that is this motor finally fully serviced. Now before I clip it back into the chassis, I've attached some power leads direct to the brush terminals, and I'm going to polish the wheels up with a fiberglass pencil so that they're as clean as they can be. And you can see there on that wheel I'm doing just how shiny and nice it comes up. And then I'm going to do the other one as well. And then after these were polished up, again cotton bud with some contact cleaner on it, and that just polished the wheels up nicely. I also gave the traction tyres a bit of a clean. They didn't need changing, but they did have quite a build-up of dirt on them. So now I'm satisfied that's all clean and is going to be running as good as it can be. I'll retrieve the pickup wire from inside the body shell, clip it back onto that brush terminal, and then simply clip the bogie back in the chassis by putting the front in first, and then engaging that rear clip. And for the dummy bogie, all I'm going to do is manually clean all the wheels. There was a lot of dirt and corrosion on these wheels. There's a groove down the middle. This model's had some running, I think, because it's worn a groove in the wheels, which has attracted a lot of dirt. But gentle going over with the fiberglass pencil, polishing them all up, makes them all nice and shiny. Now, my uncle bought another engine from the Doncaster Toy Fair, and it was a Class 58. Now, I'm not sure if it was from the same vendor, but this was running pitifully slow. I know these models aren't known for their speed, and I've done 2 or 3 of these up on Trash to Track, but again, this was sold as a fully serviced and working engine, and when I took it apart, the grease in the worm gear and around the gearbox area had started to solidify and was putting the motor under strain, and this was absolutely caked in crap. Look at this. Anybody that had serviced that and missed that huge clump of fluff is not servicing engines. Again, another one sold as a running engine, and it can't be sold as a running engine. It barely moves, and you can see the brown grease, and it is very, very sticky. It's horrible. So I stripped all this down. I'm not going to go into too much detail in the video, but I stripped it all down and cleaned it all with contact cleaner. I removed all those brass screws, took all the gears off, took the motor out, cleaned everything up, and then when I reassembled the model, it ran really, really nicely. Again, wheels were filthy as well, but I've done a 58, I've done a couple actually on Trash to Track, so I'm not going to go into too much detail. This was primarily about the 37, but I thought as I did them both at the same time, I'd just show you the absolute crap that comes off this model. And it was sold as a fully serviced, recently serviced and working engine. Nobody's cleaned this off. It wouldn't surprise me if this isn't factory grease, the way it had virtually gone solid. But anyway, I cleaned all that up as well, and now we're going to bench test the 37, and this, you can see now, is running absolutely lovely. 2 locos in arguably the best, one of the best liveries ever adorn locos was the Rail Freight Sector Grey. I do like this sort of colour scheme. And there we go, that's my uncle's Hornby 37 and Hornby 58, fully properly serviced, and now both back in running order, just as they should have been, instead of being fobbed off as runners, when quite clearly they both had issues. So I took them along to Trains for You and ran them around on their test layout, and as you can see, they both ran faultlessly. If you've got an engine or anything you'd like to see featured in a future episode of Trash to Track, if you need anything repaired, DCC fitted, repainted, give me an email at dansmodelrailways@gmail.com. Have a look at getting it sent over, and who knows, it may even feature in an episode all of its own. So you can see just how well these 2 models are running around Trains for You's test layout. It just goes to prove that they were decent models underneath all that filth. So I'd like to thank you all again for watching Trash to Track. Please like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye for now.